A beautiful sunset as the Total Nonstop Racing Grand National Series, sponsored by Schue Lawn Service, stays out west tonight for the NNSCRA Paint Design 150 at the Auto Club Speedway. This track just about an hour away from Los Angeles, California, about 400 miles to the west of Phoenix, where we were last week. And it should put on a great night of racing for us. Good evening, everyone watching on the World Racing Network. I'm Mitchell Adams, joined in the booth here tonight by Garrett Gleason. And Garrett, we've had 3 different racetracks to open the season here. Atlanta at a pack track to start the season. Then you go short track racing at Phoenix. Now you're back on a super speedway, 2 miles at Atlanta. What challenge do these drivers have to look forward to here tonight?
Well, Mitchell, we come to a place like Auto Club, and what first comes to my mind is momentum. This is a big track, like you mentioned, long straightaways. The key is to keep your foot in the throttle more than anyone else. Keep your momentum up. Don't lose speed in the corners. Don't let somebody kill your momentum off the corner. Look for that clean air, clean racetrack, and use that to your advantage.
Just about 2.5 minutes left in practice. Fastest in practice, Robert Kinney in the number 34 Toyota set a time of 40 seconds, .208. Just a little bit faster than J.D. Laird, who's rocking a nice looking car here tonight. Jason Gracias third in practice, Jake Bustos fourth, and Tristan Thuggy Maher fifth in practice. We were talking right before we went live here tonight. 21 car field it's looking like. Quite a few cars here at the Auto Club Speedway. Should make for a big pack. And like you said, the draft and the momentum here at Auto Club Speedway so critical as J.D. Laird goes for a slide out of turn 2. This racetrack gets hot and slick, Garrett. Still out west, California, the track temp, it's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. It doesn't matter that the sun is setting. This place is going to be rough on tires. Going to have these drivers with their hands full all night long.
Absolutely, Mitchell. I talked to a couple of the drivers real quick before I jumped into the booth, and they said the same thing. It is like driving on ice out there. But we have so many talented drivers out there, Mitchell, and I think they must have forgotten to put metal detectors here at Auto Club, because all the big guns have showed up for tonight's race. Like you said, Jason Gracias, Shane Ewing, J.D. Laird, James Lorello. These are guys who are making limited starts just so far this season, or in Total Nonstop Racing in general, and it's just great to have them here, and they're going to put on a heck of a show. It doesn't matter if this track is slick, eats up tires. These guys are capable of putting on a tremendous race. And, Mitchell, I think we're going to have one of those races where we're not going to be sure who the lead dog is till very late in the going, because this track temperature is going to change. The handling of the cars are going to change, and it's going to be one of those that we're going to have to keep our eye on it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. When you get into an evening race like this where the sun is setting, the track temperature changes, somebody good at the start of the race might not adapt well to that and fall off at the end of the race. Just under 30 seconds left in practice. You're looking at James Lorello in the number 13. Very glad to see James back, and it's one of my favorite paint schemes in the field, Garrett. I'm glad to see him bringing back his daughter Elizabeth's paint scheme here on board the S2R number 13. I always love to see that from James.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking number 13 there for James Lorello, and what a great cause, supporting the most talented racer in his family. I know I've made that comment before, but it must be true, because if not, you always look up to your idol. I always run a Robbie Gordon's paint scheme because Robbie Gordon was my idol. Well, James is running his daughter's paint scheme because his daughter is everything he wants to be on track, I'm sure, Mitchell.
Yeah, his daughter, a quarter midget racer. While she's getting ready on Facebook for the 2023 season, we'll see what James has in his return here tonight as the field gets ready to go qualifying, waiting for any drivers to take to the field. Usually quite a few takers at the start of qualifying, and that tonight, no exception. This is the 46 of J.D. Laird. Already highlighted him. Jamar Dumas in the Stay Tuned Sports number 28. Jamar, a driver who's had good runs going, but just tough luck so far this season for driver of the number 28. He's really going to be one of those guys looking to build some momentum Garrett, because we talked about last week when we hit Phoenix. That's when you start to think about points racing. Once you get that season opener out of the way and you get into the stretch of the season, you really want to start nailing down some good, clean, and consistent runs early on. And Auto Club, a great opportunity to do that. A big, wide track, plenty of room to race, but high speeds can mean it can get dangerous at times too.
Absolutely, Mitchell. You can get caught up in something, especially with the pack mentality out there. It's not a super speedway necessarily, but you do have that possibility. And like you alluded to, last week we started points racing, our first week. This week here at Auto Club is no different. You want to maximize your points. If that means staying out the back and avoiding the mess, then so be it. But we have points on the line here for qualifying. We have points for leading laps, points for leading the most laps, and when it comes time for the chase, all those points are going to add up.
Qualifying times starting to trickle in here. This is the 51 of Matthew Rodriguez, helped sponsor tonight's race. Again, tonight is the NNSCRA Paint Designs 150 at Auto Club Speedway. Go check them out. The link to NNSCRA Paint Designs is in the video description. If you're looking for some iRacing paints, go check out our friends at NNSCRA Paint Designs. And big thank you to Matthew Rodriguez and NNSCRA for sponsoring tonight's race. And Matthew Rodriguez, conveniently, fastest in qualifying so far with a 40.505. That is a couple tenths of a second off that fast lap we saw in practice, Garrett. Now Bill Edwards with a 40.449, still about 2 tenths off the practice times, but now some faster laps starting to trickle in here.
Yeah, I was curious to see the difference between our practice times and qualifying times, because you do have the element of a draft here. If you get one of those laps where you get some good air from the guy in front of you. But Matthew Rodriguez, not a guy I expect to start up front, but definitely a guy I expect to see running every single lane on the racetrack whenever he finds the opportunity. And I think he'll be the first one we see scrubbing off that very top lane when time comes. As we look at Vincent Valvano out there making his hot lap, probably his opening lap, right?
Yeah, this would be his opening lap, running right up along the wall. He's doing that to try and build up some speed and momentum. We talk about momentum being so important here at Auto Club. There's really not a lot of braking, a lot of off throttle time, but very important to get back into the throttle quick, and rolling that high line, it lets you get into the throttle quicker than you would if you were on the bottom, and you can roll more speed around. And that's why you see Vinny Valvano here rolling that high line lap 1, and then you see now dives down to that white line going to the inside here for lap number 2. So this is the lap he's going to want to put down to have some speed. The fastest car in qualifying with just 1 minute to go, Philip Scott in the number 99. Philip, you saw last week like I did, Garrett. Philip Scott had an interesting week, to say the least. So close to winning, but a little bit of last lap incidents that we'll talk about when we go more toward the grid. Philip really wants a good run here tonight, as you see the 55 of Steven Doziak out for his qualifying run.
Yeah, just to touch on Philip for a second. After the events of last week, Philip got taken out of a potential win, and Philip said, I'm just going to win Auto Club. Well, that's one way to show them, is to start on pole and lead some laps. But Steven Doziak, a guy that last time we came to Auto Club decided that he was going to put down a qualifying lap, and after he put down I think it was like a top 5 lap, Mitchell, he decided to take out most of the field in turn 1, because he probably shouldn't have been starting up there in the first place. So I'm hoping this is a very slow lap, or he takes pity on the field and maybe hits the brake before he crosses the line.
Yeah, Steven Doziak, we'll see. I don't think he had enough time to get lap number 2 in, so he is going to start deep in the field, and we will take you through your starting order for the NNSCRA Paint Designs 150 at Auto Club Speedway. Starting up at the front of the field is going to be the number 99 of Philip Scott. And Philip told me after the incident last week on the final lap, coming to the line, he said, I know I'm fast. I'm going to come out and try and win, just like you said. And so far, he's doing exactly what he needs to do, putting that car up in the pole position. Starting In second place, the number 25 of Alonso Chicano, another driver who had a really good run last week. Starting in third, Tristan Thuggy Maher. To his outside, J.D. Laird. Rounding out your top 5 is Jake Bustos. Then in sixth place, James Lorello, making his first start in quite a while here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. In seventh, Bill Edwards in the number 5 S2R machine. David Durand starts from the 8th place position. Robert Kinney in 9th, and Matthew Rodriguez will round out your top 10. Then in 11th, it's Shane Ewing in the number 32 machine. To his outside will be Mike Floppy Tellier. Actually, I take that back. Tellier will be starting from pit road after a penalty from last week's finish, so he's going to have a challenge looking to try and get 3 wins in a row here tonight. Starting from 13th is Paul Bilson. Not a name we see very much in TNR, but Bilson out here tonight looking to put together a good run. Robert Tripp in the 35 starts in the 14th position. Bob Giaquinto in the tabletop trio machine rolls off 15th. Vincent Valvano 16th. Jamar Dumas in 17th. Then it's Steven Doziak, the last car to take time in qualifying, rolling off from 18th. Then cars who did not qualify, Jason Gracias in the Bagcraft number 1 machine. Jason Schue starts 20th in the 3. And we will see if Matt White gets to the grid or not in the 21st position. But that is your starting order for tonight's NNSCRA Paint Design 150 at the Auto Club Speedway. And again, check out tonight's race sponsor, NNSCRA Paint Designs. Their website is linked down in the description of this stream. You can check them out after the racing is done, or during, if you are so inclined. Looking out in the chat, we've got my broadcast partner, Garrett Gleason. Round 3, let's go. That's completely correct. Johnny Williams saying, good luck, all, and hello to the booth. Hello, Johnny. And the Windsors saying, go get him, Bill. Bill, another driver, Garrett. Great run last week. He had some incidents, too. Kind of cost him a really good finish. Had a great run, battling for the lead late going, but 7th place starting position. We saw him start from about the same place last week and creep forward. So Bill is definitely a driver I've got my eye on here tonight. But everybody going to have to chase down Philip Scott. And Alonso Chicano also to his outside. Another driver very fast last week.
Yeah, a lot of speed up here towards the front of the field, but I'm looking at one of the cars in the back of the field, Jason Gracias, number 1 machine. I want to see how quickly he gets to the front. I need to see how many cars he passes on this first lap, Mitchell. So that's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on as we're getting ready to go green, as Philip Scott takes us to the flag.
Philip Scott getting ready to lead a 20-car field to the green flag. They hit the iRacing restart zone, and we are racing at Auto Club Speedway in the NNSCRA Paint Design 150, and a great start for Philip Scott, being pushed toward the front by Tristan Thuggy Maher, and Maher thought about looking to the outside, not going to do it as they go 3 wide back behind your leaders. You see the pack fanning out. Someone got a little high into the wall, but as you see the field come down the backstretch, Garrett, we talk about a very wide racetrack here. There's plenty of room to jump out, make moves, but then you got to settle it back down by the time you get into the corner. As I believe that's J.D. Laird in the 46th, tried to make a move on Tristan Maher for second. Doesn't work out, though, and Alonso Chicano gets to his outside as the field completes lap number 1.
Yeah, Mitchell, for people who are just watching, maybe it's the first race they just stumbled upon, like, you're going to see the momentum on the high side. These guys are able to keep their RPMs up, keep their foot in it, and usually they overcome the other car on the straightaway. But that bottom lane, like you talked about last week, the shortest way around, if you could use that lane and slide up in front of someone, you can pull off a lot of passes here at Auto Club. So we see Bill Edwards here battling his way through the field. As you said, you're keeping your eye on him, and looks like he's about where he started so far.
Yeah, Bill tried to make the move to the inside of David Duran, unable to make it work, and we'll continue to see as the race goes on which lane is better, the top or the bottom. Usually it kind of goes in between the two. You see Philip Scott stretched out to almost a half-second lead in the opening laps of this race. Alonso Chicano has settled down into second. Tristan Thuggy Maher now holds third over J.D. Laird and Jake Bustos, your top 5.
Philip Scott, that's an impressive lead, Mitchell, from my perspective this early on in the race. I mean, he got away from them a bit. Like, that's perfect for him, especially with the drama of last week. You don't want anyone even remotely close to you being able to take you out in the last corner. So if he can hold a lead about this size, it should be a peaceful night for Philip Scott. But I'm not counting any of these very talented drivers out so far.
Philip Scott, a little bit of a different look for the World Ninja League Ford. I like the paint scheme he's rocking here tonight. And like you said, very impressive to stretch the lead out this quickly, this early. Usually you see drivers get behind you in the draft, and they're really able to stay in a train until the tires start to fall off about 15-20 laps into this run. But Philip stretching it out now almost to 3/4 of a second as they battle back behind him. You see J.D. Laird got around Tristan Maher, now putting a lot of pressure onto the 25 of Alonso Chicano. Laird so fast last week. The dominant car at Phoenix got caught up in an incident with Bill Edwards in the 5 we talked about. Still managed to put together a 4th place finish though last week. So J.D. Laird, really, he's another driver. You know about Philip Scott wanting redemption. I think J.D. Laird just as much wants some redemption. He would love to get the win here this week, and look at that. Philip Scott won, and J.D. Laird completing the pass on Alonso Chicano for second. They're 1-2.
Yeah, let's see what JD has for Philip now that he's in some clean air relative to being behind Alonso there. And Alonso these last 2 weeks has really shown a lot of speed, like you just said. And I've been very impressed with Alonso, and I've raced super speedways with Alonso. Haven't raced many ovals with him, but his consistency and the speed he's showing this season is really catching my eye.
I think Bill Edwards in the number 5 got a little bit high out of turn 2, but you see Bill venturing up the track, searching for that higher lane. He's going to be one of the first drivers who ran very high, almost up to the wall through turns 1 and 2. And again in 3 and 4, you see him venturing way higher than anyone else is really wanting to go. That line definitely does come in. It can be very great for defending position as well, but we'll just have to see how that works out for Bill Edwards, because when you run up high like that and you see him going way up, just inches off of that wall, that can sometimes wear that right front tire out more and hurt you in the long run. So I'm very curious to see Bill Edwards, very smart, managing the run, managing the tires. We'll see how it works out for him as we are just 7 laps in to this 75-lap event.
I like to see the green flag racing so far, Mitchell. Nothing worse than an early caution. These guys have a stage break on lap 20, so they're all just trying to get there. But it looks like you said, you see some feeling out. Bill's trying the higher lane. Maybe you'll be able to check your tire wear here on lap 20 and see, oh, geez, that hurt me real bad, or it didn't hurt me bad. I could use this later on if we have a green flag run.
On your screen, you see the battle for 3rd place. Alonso Chicano has it. Got a couple cars looking for it, but up front, it's the pass for the lead. J.D. Laird works around the 99 of Philip Scott. New race leader on lap number 8. J.D. Laird looking to pick up where he left off last week. Led over 100 laps of the 150 we ran at Phoenix last week. And he'll clock his first lap up at the front. And you see how quickly Philip Scott fell back to Alonso Chicano, Garrett. Do you think that's just getting behind the dirty air of J.D. Laird, just took some grip out of that car and dropped him back?
Absolutely, Mitchell. That's probably part of it. And you also don't know if Philip was pushing maybe the tires a little more than he should have. So something to keep in mind. If he falls back to like 10th place, then I'm going to start to be concerned that maybe he doesn't have that long run pace. But if he settles in here, finds a groove, and stays competitive here in the top 5, I wouldn't count that 99 out just yet.
You see the 17 of Tristan Maher working up the inside of Philip Scott. The 24 of David Duran going with him. Tristan Maher, another driver with a new look on that number 17 car. I like what I'm seeing, and David Duran tries to get up the inside of Maher. He'll get there. We'll see if that pass sticks out of turn number 2. It'll be a drag race down the back straightaway. They're going to stay side by side as they enter turn 3. You see, other than those two battling, the field really has gotten pretty much single file, fan out in the corner, but it kind of settles back down on the straightaways, and that goes to that draft we talk about being so important if you hang out of the draft just a little bit too long, you could lose a lot of time here. So the draft, very important at a big track like Auto Club.
Mitchell, I've had races here where I felt competitive, believe it or not, and you're exactly right. You have one bad lap, miss your mark a little bit in the corner, you lose that draft, and you fall behind, and then you can't compete with these guys. You can't get the guys that have the draft compared to the guys that have draft. There is no comparison here. You will not make those lap times, and you will fall behind. But good thing is, it's a big track. The odds of being lapped are fairly low if you can keep some speed out there. So I wouldn't be too worried at this point. Stage break at lap 20, but certainly you want to be in the pack, that's for sure.
David Duran just got around Tristan Maher for the 3rd position. You were wondering in the opening laps about the number 1 of Jason Gracias and how quickly he would make his way up through the field. That number 1 car started in the 19th position, currently running 11th. Gets to the inside of the 00 of Paul Bilson. That would be for the top 10. Paul Bilson with Dick's Custom Pipes on the side of that car. Good sponsor for Paul Bilson. Wanted to get them a shout out too while we've got Paul on camera. As you see Jason, he seems faster, but he's struggling to build the momentum up to actually make that pass. But you see him there, gonna try and work to the outside, but right now Bilson doing a good job keeping his momentum up, and they're stuck behind a side-by-side battle. That is between Philip Scott and Matthew Rodriguez. And Garrett, it seems like we were just talking about Philip Scott being up, just getting past for the race lead. He's already back to 8th place, so Philip dropping through the field quickly here, still in the early stages of this run.
Yeah, like I did say, Mitchell, if he gets to the point where he's around 10th place, I'm going to be concerned. And right now I'm a little bit concerned. But Philip has shown a maturity this season and last season as well that he's not going to force the issue here. He might be studying. He might be learning something. He might say, hey, I know I have a car that's good enough to win later. Why take a chance racing with these aggressive guys up near the front? But the way it looks, Mitchell, it looks like maybe he used up those tires. But we'll see what happens after this upcoming pit stop.
Last time by, race leader J.D. Laird ran a 41.333. Philip Scott just ran a 41.786, so nearly 0.4 of a second slower was Philip Scott than your race leader. And everyone else a little bit closer to on pace with J.D. Laird, a couple tenths off. The fastest car on the racetrack the last time by the line was the 74 of Jake Bustos, who currently runs in the 5th place position. And Garrett, I feel like we keep coming back to Jake Bustos. You've talked about him being the bridesmaid, just not being able to get that win, but he's shown speed consistently all 3 weeks so far. I know we're early in the race tonight, but you've got to like what you're seeing so far from the 74 team.
I love what I'm seeing from the 74 team, and we've had guys here at TNR. Tristan Maher, for the longest time, could not get that first win. And Jake being in that category just proves how close he is week after week. And yeah, we'll joke, we'll say he's a bridesmaid, we'll make fun of him, he has no sponsor on his car, but he's going to get the win. Will it be this week? I don't know, but being the fastest car in the racetracks 15 or 16 laps into the run is definitely proven that 74 deserves to be up there.
Again, that last time by, too, fastest car on the track was Jake Bustos, so good to see some long run speed coming from driver of the 74 Toyota as he looks up the inside of Tristan Maher. This is the battle for the 4th place position. And you see, he gets side by side, but really, it's not a quick, he doesn't like get momentum and run right by the 17. They really stay side by side, and that just goes to how much we talk about the importance of momentum and being in the draft. When you get going so fast, it's hard to keep the car accelerating. There's a point where you kind of even out. And that's what makes passing so difficult here at Auto Club. You got to really work that side draft. As you see the 24 of David Duran starting to fall back closer to these two drivers. That is going to make it a 3-car battle for the 3rd place position.
Wow, tremendous battle here. 3 very talented drivers, and Duran coming back a little bit towards these guys, but he's also shown tremendous speed so far this season. And I think Mitchell at this point, it's safe to say, I mean, Mike Tellier's won both races. He had 25-point penalty. But as far as our championship contenders, it is a deep field of contenders because we have a lot of consistency out there and a lot of talent. And that's a testament to, Total Nonstop Racing Brotherhood that we're able to get these type of drivers here. And it's up to me as the administrator to keep them here. As I saw we checked it on Mike, he's just hoping for that stage break to come and be the only car lap down and get that lucky dog as we're checking back in on our leader, J.D. Laird.
Yeah, Mike Tellier, 1 lap down. Really wants that stage break so he can pick up the Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award. He comes into tonight the points leader by 2 points, but he's won both races this season, but certainly would be a major comeback to win this one, although we've seen it from Tellier. Both races, you and I had both counted him out about midway through the race, and then he came back and got the wins, so we'll be keeping an eye on the 47 throughout the night. But J.D. Laird has just been very consistent up at the front of the pack. He's run the fastest lap of the race so far. He hasn't been running the fastest times on the track, but he's been able to keep the lead about at 3/4 of a second back to Alonso Chicano behind him, and that's just what we expect from J.D. Laird. Is just smooth, consistent, and a fast pace throughout the run, and that's what makes Laird so good.
I expect J.D. Laird to be the best driver in the field at all times when he shows up here to race at TNR, and that's just a statement of his talent and to me, a statement of fact. It takes creativity to beat J.D. Laird straight up. I mean, he's gotten involved in some incidents. He hasn't won so far this year, which is kind of mind-blowing, and it's race 3. I know it sounds stupid saying it's mind-blowing as we're coming to the stage break, but I think JD wants to set sail and not look back tonight and get that first win of the year.
Yeah, J.D. Laird certainly on this first run has shown quite a bit of speed. David Durand was able to hold on to that 3rd position. Tristan Maher held on to 4th, Bustos 5th. And that is our first stage break of the night. Top 8 scoring points. That was J.D. Laird in 1st, Alonso Chicano 2nd, David Durand 3rd, Tristan Maher in 4th, Jake Bustos in 5th, Shane Ewing in 6th, Matthew Rodriguez 7th, and Bill Edwards 8th are your drivers scoring points on tonight's stage break. And that is a much needed Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award for the 47 of Mike Floppy Tellier after starting in the pits because of a penalty. Here, that's exactly what he needed. He's been running good laps, just not with the track position, but now he's going to be back on the lead lap. So congratulations to the 47. It's the only car 1 lap down so far, but he is still tonight's first Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award. And I pretty much expect everyone to be coming down pit lane, Garrett. I don't think we're going to see anybody stay out. Even close to the end of the fuel run, everybody probably going to want to come down for 4 fresh tires and fuel.
Yeah, I think fuel run here, Mitchell, is about 30 laps, give or take. So these guys are definitely needing some fuel, some tires. And just to keep in mind, when you get back on track, remember you have that full fuel load. You have 4 tires. You're just 20 laps into a run. The car is not going to be driving and handling the same. And sometimes guys ship it into turn 1 a little harder than they need to. And then you see you pull a Doziak, in other words, and then the field suffers.
We saw a caution last week for drivers just coming out onto the track with cold tires and looping it around. Auto Club, probably one of the more difficult tracks in terms of wearing in those cold tires. These cars get very loose on the fresh tires, and with the sun setting, that just gets amplified even more as you see the field making their way down pit lane here. Mike Tellier taking his Lucky Dog Award. You saw him going around the pace car, but everybody else headed down pit road.
Yeah, don't miss your box here. Get your service done and get back on track. You see guys sometimes miss their box. We used to call it Peter and I pulled in Chris Darling, but because CD was famous for missing his box. But these guys looking for no issues on pit road. If you scuff that wall, you get your fenders pulled out a little bit and get back out there. But I just wanted to say before that run, Shane Ewing creeped up into about 6th place. Shane's a guy we haven't seen so far this year, but one of those very consistent drivers that has a lot of speed and is capable of winning every single week. So if he could get himself up into the top 3, he'll definitely be a contender by lap 75.
Yeah, a lot of good speed out of the 32. And we've seen a lot of drivers this season, Garrett, have speed that you think could go win the race. We've seen a mix of drivers with great short run, great long run, and there have been a couple who've really had the balance. I look at JD Laird out front. He's really had a good car each and every week. We saw the 25 of Alonso Chicano. He was great last week, seeing a lot of that this week. Jason Gracia slowly creeping up the field. You expect him week in, week out to be a contender up front. And I'm watching Jake Bustos in the 74. I liked what I saw from him in that first run. You see him, though, just coming out of the pit lane. He's going to lose some track position here in this cycle. But Philip Scott, I noticed when he came down pit road, a little bit of right front damage on that car. I think that came after he kind of dropped through the pack, but Philip came into the night really good, sat on pole, a little right rear damage too, might have had a little scrape with the wall, but so far Philip Scott this night's kind of taken a little bit of a turn for the worst, but still a lot of time left. Only lap 24 of 75, a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, we're only about a third of the way through here, so these guys are still learning, filling each other out. Track's still getting, I'm presuming, cooler out there, so it's not over yet. You've had a bad first 25 laps, or you didn't get all you expected out of your car. There's still time to learn, still time to make passes out there and get that track position for that last pit stop and when it really matters. But these guys are shuffling up. Looks like JD has chosen the outside lane. Must be a momentum thing. You expect him to try to use that outside lane and clear down to the bottom, or you think he'll keep it up there, Mitchell?
I would expect him. It really depends on how good a run he gets on this restart, Garrett. If it were me, I would stay in that outside lane just because it tends to have a little more grip on the restarts, and I think JD Laird's got a fast enough Chevy Camaro that he can get the momentum down the back straightaway and clear Alonso Chicano. Plus, looking behind him, you've got Tristan Maher, who had a great start at the beginning of this race, really pushed Philip Scott out to the lead. I like the call by JD to take the outside lane here, and I think he's going to stay up as the field hits the iRacing restart zone. And we are back, green flag racing, and nobody even close to JD Laird on that restart. He rockets out to the front. It's going to be side by side behind him for second. Chicano on the inside. Tristan Maher trying to work the outside lane. David Durand trying to get up under the 17.
All these guys battling out their position, fanning out. Matthew Rodriguez creeping up in the picture. Vincent Valvano, Jason Gracias. Some new contenders going to see if they can give a run to JD Laird, Alonso Chicano, and Tristan Maher up here near the front.
Chicano working the middle lane. Everybody else down to the inside through turns 1 and 2, and they've run right back up to that 46 of JD Laird. That's that draft we talk about, that slipstream that's created by the car in the front. It just sucks whoever's behind him right up to that back bumper, and you see Chicano right there as they head out of turn number 2. Tried to look up to the outside, carry all the momentum he could. Big contact back behind him. Jason Gracias, a ton of front end damage. He and Matthew Rodriguez got up close to the wall, and they're 3 wide into turn number 3. The 34 of Robert Kinney up the inside. 32 Shane Ewing was in the middle. Gracias losing positions left and right. Something did not go right for the one car on this restart. That last lap dropped 3 positions already.
This is a very aero-dependent racetrack, and that damage on the number 1 is going to slow him down immensely out there, Mitchell. And I don't know if we can queue up a replay, if you want to queue up a replay, but that's going to be very detrimental to that number 1. He's going to be needing that caution pretty quick.
We'll go back and see very quickly if I can find where Jason Gracias got the damage. I believe this is where he gets the wall. Oh, you see David Duran checked up in front of him. Matthew Rodriguez had to slow up, and Gracias just couldn't see it coming. And that is where that damage come from. Not much you can do in that position if you're the number 1 of Jason Gracias, but you see back live here doing exactly what he needs to do, and that is tucking up to the bumper of the 51 of Matthew Rodriguez. That kind of alleviates a lot of the front end damage. It allows the air to kind of slip over that car. If he can stay behind someone, it's not going to be as good as it was, but it's going to be a lot better than if that car is in clean air by itself. That creates so much drag on that car, Garrett, when the front end is damaged like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Him and Rodriguez. Rodriguez got the rear end damage there. You can see it's like a perfect puzzle piece what happened. But I'm keeping an eye on that 23, Bob Giaquinto. They're making some headway here into the top 10. I love seeing Bob out there on track and seeing him have a good run. Really warms my heart, and it takes a lot to warm my heart, Mitchell. I'm old and bitter.
Yeah, Bob's had a lot of really good speed in that tabletop trio machine, and I always say we love to see series sponsor do well, and tabletop trio on board that car. Bob's put up some really good runs for them so far this season. As you see side by side in front of him, Mike Tellier looking to the inside of Jason Gracia. Since this restart, Tellier has gained 9 positions. So Mike Tellier on the move toward the front right now.
No surprise there, Mitchell. It's just a matter of, did he make any more enemies other than Philip Scott that'll hurt him as he goes through the field? I certainly don't think so. And it's just crazy, Mitchell. It's like in life, you have a good day, and then the next day you expect to have a good day. Well, in racing, you have a good race. You're winning races. The next week you show up, you plan on having a good race and winning again. And that's what we're seeing out of that 47. I almost said 97 like old times as we look at our battle for the lead here between JD and Alonso going for it.
Yep, JD Laird had stretched the lead out a little bit, but Alonso Chicano has reeled him right back in within 0.2 of a second now. You see how close they are. These two drivers have run away from third place Shane Ewing. He's over a second back in that number 32 machine, and you see that 25 just sitting right behind the number 46 of JD Laird. And what that does, we keep talking about it, but when you sit right behind that car, you have to do a lot less work to get down the straightaways. It does make it more difficult in the corners. You have to crank that wheel more. The car doesn't want to turn as much, but still, I like Alonso Chicano. I think he's a driver, I don't think we've talked about him enough. Last week, had great speed. This week, again, running right up in the front. And it's, again, I said it with Jake Bustos and how fast he's been. Of course, Bustos now back down to 12th after losing position. But if you keep running consistently fast, eventually that win should come through. You just got to keep putting yourself in these positions. And so far this season, Alonso Chicano has done a great job doing that. And the same for JD Laird. He has yet to pick up a win this season. Of course, many wins in the Total Nonstop Racing League, but still, these two drivers out front seem to be the class of the field here tonight.
So far, absolutely, Mitchell, the class of the field, and it's not really a surprise. Both very talented drivers, and if you keep putting yourself in that position for victory, eventually you will notch that. And like you said, Jake Bustos, another guy that puts himself in position. And eventually it's going to be your day, right? It's going to be your day, and it's going to be so worth it because you put the effort and time in there. But, Mitchell, I was just looking at our scoring monitor. Bill Edwards and Jamar at the back of the lead lap. Is something going on there? You think there's some strategy at play?
Bill Edwards, you certainly wouldn't expect to see him running 18th place on track, and with the speed we've seen from the number 5 here tonight, doesn't look to have much damage either, but he is 7 seconds off your race leader, not too far off Jason Schue in 17th. But I do wonder if that 5 is laying back, because we know how much speed he has and what he's capable of. Jamar Dumas in that 28 car, he is 25 seconds behind your race leader, 20 seconds behind Bill Edwards. I'm curious. Of course, he has some damage on his race car. It's possible there was an incident, but I've known Bill in my time to play fuel games, and I wonder, it's very early in the race, but I do wonder if Bill is trying to play some fuel games. But he stole a win away from me back when I was racing with a fuel strategy. I remember that very well, so I always expect it from Bill Edwards. Only time will tell, Garrett, but certainly uncharacteristic, I think, to see Bill Edwards running in the position he's in right now.
Yeah, very weird, and I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it. He's not losing the pack here necessarily, so that number 5, certainly going to be expecting him up somewhere near the top 5 by the end of this. But speaking of the top 5, looks like Vincent Valvano was having a good battle near the 5th position. Just want to highlight Vinny, obviously that guy that I said I would get a tattoo of, and maybe when he does win his first race here at TNR, I will pull that off. But I think we might have to live stream it, Mitchell. I think I'll probably cry a lot.
Vincent Valvano, another driver who's put very clean, consistent runs together this season and had some speed while doing it. And you see him trying to work to the outside of Tristan Maher. Been very impressed with Vincent Valvano this season, and tonight another solid run. Just got around Robert Kinney not too long ago, and here he is up now inside the top 5. Johnny Williams out in chat said he was wondering if iRacing would get rid of this track when they demolish it. We hadn't touched on that so far tonight. The Auto Club Speedway in February in real life will be its final NASCAR race. If all goes to plan as a 2-mile racetrack, they're putting in a short track here. I think it's very, very sad, Garrett. I love this place, but, you know, business will be business, and hopefully the new track puts on just as good a show. The designs certainly look like it has the potential to do so, but I think the answer to that question, Johnny, and I think Will Radcliffe hit it right on point. They're probably going to put this as a legacy track, or maybe even another configuration. I don't know how that works, but more than likely it'll stay on the service as a legacy track. You wouldn't think they'd get rid of such a good racetrack as Auto Club Speedway.
You would hope not, but you would also hope they wouldn't get rid of it in real life.
Very
but like
true.
We saw with Atlanta, Mitchell, they took a track that was racy and fun and gripping, and they turned it into a super speedway for maybe ratings and business sense. There's a balance there. You see now that in NASCAR old tracks are becoming new again. North Wilkes-Barre, Rockingham. People have the desire to go to these places and see races there. So hopefully NASCAR finds that balance. And I'm still mad at NASCAR, Mitchell, because back in the day I wanted NASCAR to have more road courses because that was the only time my driver Robbie Gordon was competitive. And now there's like a road course every other week, and he's been retired for 15 years. It's not fair.
Yeah, certainly NASCAR kind of going into a new age. You have the next gen cars they're running right now, and they're kind of trying to find the direction they want to take the sport in. You've got the Chicago road course, street course race coming up this year. I think they're doing some interesting things. I know not everyone has loved everything NASCAR has done, and I'm not up here gonna spew my opinions on things, but I think certainly the sport gonna see some changes over the next few years. But luckily for us, everything gets saved as a file on iRacing, and we can run 2-mile Auto Club whenever we want. As you see, Matthew Rodriguez here back in the 13th position. The damage doesn't seem to have affected the 51 terribly. He's still putting up some decent lap times here. The one of Jason Gracias, however, not so fortunate. He has pulled it down into pit road, and it looks like the number 1 taking it to the garage and calling it a night. A very disappointing way to end this, just not even halfway for Jason Gracias.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker. It was nice to see Jason back. I know he's been busy with life. How dare he, right? But Jason coming back, I still expect him to win a race or two as the season goes on. Just not the week he was hoping for here at Auto Club, which was a track that I definitely expected him to be a contender with.
Taking a look back up more toward the front, you've got Vincent Valvano now under pressure from Robert Kinney in the number 34. Kinney looking up the inside of Valvano. Looks like he's going to clear that pass through turns 1 and 2. So move Robert Kinney back up into the top 5. We are just over halfway. I think it's time, Garrett, we look through the field here at how all your favorite drivers at home are doing so far tonight. Up at the front, J.D. Laird continues to lead laps. He is now stretched a lead over second place Alonso Chicano to about 1 second. Chicano kept with him until a couple laps ago, and now he has started to fall back a couple tenths a lap to J.D. Laird. In third place, it's Shane Ewing, who's had a strong run here tonight. Fourth, Tristan Thuggy Maher in the number 17, also very consistently fast here tonight. We just highlighted Robert Kinney moves himself up into the 5th place position. Vincent Valvano currently running in 6th. David Durand is back behind them in the 7th position. The man on the move, Mike Floppy Tellier, up into 8th place now. It's Bob Giaquinto inside the top 10, as well as James Lorello in the number 13 in his first race back in a while. Lorello currently runs in 10th. Back behind them, it's Philip Scott trying to work his way back up through the field in 11th. Paul Bilson was in 12th, but it looks like he is going to get passed by the 5 of Bill Edwards, who is starting to move his way back up through the field now, takes the 12th position from Bilson. 14th place is Steven Doziak in the number 55. Jake Bustos really had a struggle of it this run. I think I might have jinxed that 74 a little bit. He has not been able to work his way through the field like we saw last run. Kind of been dropping back for the driver who started in the 5th position here tonight. Then it's Matthew Rodriguez in 16th. Jason Schue runs in 17th. Robert Tripp in the 35 runs in 18th. And rounding out the 19 car still on the track here tonight is Jamar Dumas, who continues to run off time with the leaders. And then Jason Gracias, like we mentioned, in 20th, 13 laps down now, but that car is in the garage and out of this race. And that is a look through your field 45 laps into the race.
Wow, everyone in the chat, give a shout out to Mitchell Adams for pulling that off without me egging them on and making them do it. And I don't know if we have to change the name of that, Mitchell, for copyright reasons, but let's go with through the field for now. Just want to touch on Robert Tripp real quick. That paint scheme he is running is for my friend Vinny, room 120 at the school I work at. Vinny's a real cool kid, and I appreciate Robert running that paint scheme for him.
Yeah, Robert Tripp running in 17th hasn't quite been the night I think he wanted, but it's a great looking car. I love the red there on that number 35. And he's got a clean race car too. He hasn't really been in the wall too much. You see a little right rear damage, but a little bit scraped up on the right side. But when we keep the cameras pointed to the left side of that race car, looking pretty good there for Vinny's race car.
Yeah, just bring it home in one piece, Robert. That's all we can ask. And Mitchell, when I race a couple times later this year, please keep the camera angle at a flattering angle for me as well, so it looks like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing out there.
And looking back up at JD Laird, who continues to stretch this lead out. Now 2 seconds in front of Alonso Chicano. Laird doing a great job out at the front of the pack. Really dominated this race from the time he got up to the front of the pack. This is going to be another one and looking like where he easily leads the most laps in the race. Of course, again, time will tell. We said that last week. It looked like he was maybe going to cruise to a win. And then some cautions late race. He got caught up in some accidents and managed to pull off 4th place. But JD Laird certainly looks on pace tonight. But with the field as strung out as it is, Garrett, and we haven't had a caution for incident. The only caution was the stage caution at lap 20. You can't really be banking on a caution if you're one of these drivers in the back looking to maybe make a strategy play. You've probably got a lower chance here at Auto Club because it's so spread out, the track's so wide, but there's some drivers here, they're going to be hoping for just about any lucky break they can get, and we are coming close to pit stop time, so be curious to see the pit strategies. JD Laird probably going to wait a couple laps because he has 3 seconds lead. This is the same situation as last week. JD can kind of do whatever he wants out in the lead. He's got such big gap to the cars behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. This is JD Laird's show. He's going to lead them. Oh, well, he doesn't have to lead them down the pit road, is my point. He could be on his own strategy, let everybody else come to him. But these other guys, like you said, Mitchell, they probably don't have anything for JD on straight speed. So pit strategy is going to come into play. Trying to catch a yellow, maybe run it long. Whatever you can do to equalize the advantage that the 46 clearly has on speed is what you need to do. And there's really no shame in it, Mitchell. You've done your best. You've shown what speed your car has. You just don't have it to beat him straight up. So roll the dice, do something different, and see if that's how you can catch your lucky break. And for some of these guys, maybe get your first win of your career here at TNR, or the first win of the season for sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a story we talk about most of the season because J.D. Laird is so consistently fast. What can you do to beat this 46? Certainly, he is on point tonight. Green flag pit stops, though, are underway. Shane Ewing pits from the 3rd place position. More drivers on their way down pit road. Jake Bustos, James Lorello, and Bill Edwards both on the way down pit road. So I was wondering if Bill was saving fuel. The answer is going to be no, because he pits very early in the cycle. Must have just dropped through the field a little bit earlier on, but a couple cars come down pit road. Paul Bilson now joins the down pit road. But I'm a little bit surprised J.D. Laird coming to the pits so early, but that 46 is bringing it down. Clean entry to pit road. Tristan Maher on the way down as well, and that makes Alonso Chicano your race leader, and that gets him a valuable bonus point here. We talk about points racing. Get a point for leading a lap, I do believe. And Alonso, he's sitting in a position in points. He would like to have a good run here, sitting 13th in points. So a good run here tonight would be very good for him in the points picture. I know it's a long season and there's plenty of time, but you got to start building up those points now to make it easier come playoff time later in the season.
Yeah, every point counts, Mitchell, and especially when they're, I don't want to say they're free points, but in his case, this is kind of like a free point. The leader pit, stay out, get the point. Like, it's not really going to hurt you all that much. You were already behind the 8 ball a little bit as far as speed with J.D. Laird, so maybe don't have enough to win straight up, but you're going to accumulate points. You accumulate those extra points and then still finish second. That's still a good night as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and continuing to stay out so far. More drivers down pit road. You saw Robert Kinney, Mike Floppy Tellier, and David Durand all down pit road now. Still quite a few drivers who have yet to make that green flag pit stop, and there are probably going to be some who run this out quite a ways longer, but I'm a little bit surprised at Alonso Chicano, Garrett. He's staying out a little bit longer than I would have expected, giving up quite a bit of time, almost 2 seconds a lap to J.D. Laird.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to be losing out there, Mitchell. 2 seconds lap just shows how valuable those fresh tires are. It's good to have a green flag pit stop, but it definitely discrepancy in tires for these guys that decide to play the long game out there. You're just at the mercy of a yellow at this point.
7 drivers yet to make a pit stop. Alonso Chicano, your race leader. Vincent Valvano currently in second as Chicano gets up into the wall. He's trying to carry as much speed as he can, but that is really going to hurt his momentum. Valvano down pit road. That leaves 6. Philip Scott, Stephen Doziak pits from 4th. Robert Tripp, Jason Schue, and Matthew Rodriguez all have yet to make the pit stop. Tripp pits in that number 35, painted by Vinny. And that leaves 4 out on the racetrack. And J.D. Laird did maintain his race lead as well. Or he will be the leader when the green flag cycle ends. Everyone pits. J.D. Laird will have a comfortable 5-second lead right now over Shane Ewing. And Chicano pits now. But we'll see how much time that number 25 lost by staying out as long as he did. We'll see if everyone else follows him down pit road, keeping an eye on the number 3 of Jason Schue. He would inherit the lead if he stays out, which he is going to do here, so Schue should pick up a bonus point if he beat Chicano to the line, which he did not actually do. So he would have to stay out 1 more lap in order to get that bonus point, just because of Chicano and also Philip Scott having their pit boxes in front of that start-finish line.
Yeah, Jason Schue playing a little different strategy there. You don't really have the speed, so just keep it out there as long as you can. Hope for that lucky break. Maybe you equalize a little bit, have a tire advantage, but these guys all have 1 more set in the pit, so it really wouldn't be all that great of an advantage. But hey, at the worst, Mitchell, you get some TV time for yourself. Jason's a great guy, sponsors us here at TNR through his lawn service business, and I want to see Jason Schue competitive on a weekly basis, and it's going to take some track time and some consistency on his part, but he's a real-life race car driver. This guy goes to the track and has what it takes. It's just a matter of getting used to the sim, getting used to the new wheel and setup and everything like that. So don't count Jason Schue out as far as long term goes, even though he might not have the speed here at Auto Club that it necessarily needs.
He is out there leading laps now, did pick up the bonus point. Got Hellman's on the side of the car, the neon yellow wheel rims and number. Kind of a nice contrast from the more matte blue and yellow he's got on the car. And of course, Schue Lawn Service, you mentioned, the title sponsor for the TNR Grand National Series. So can't thank Jason Schue and Schue Lawn Service enough. Make sure to give them some love. As Jason Schue does come down pit road, which will turn the race lead back over to JD Laird. Picking up right where he left off. He's got 4 seconds in front of Shane Ewing. And the update on Alonso Chicano, this shows you how valuable tires are. Chicano, at the start of that green flag pit cycle, was in 2nd place. He was about 4 seconds behind your race leader, JD Laird. Now, after staying out a little bit and pitting, Alonso Chicano is in 10th place, 13 seconds behind JD Laird. So, he really would have loved to have caught the caution, and it hurt him that one didn't come out because he dropped quite a bit of track position because of that strategy.
Yeah, Mitchell, certainly, like we said, it probably wasn't going to pay off for him, but sometimes you just have to try things and you learn and you accept the consequences as they are, but you never know. We have, less than 15 laps, or whatever, 15-ish laps, a little more than 15 laps to go here, as my live math is struggling, but yeah, always be a yellow, always be a wrench in the plans, change in circumstance for a lot of these guys. So Alonso definitely has the speed to be a top 2 or 3 car, so he's just going to need that timely yellow when he needs it the most, and that's right about now.
And how about James Lorello? Lorello always fast. We would expect him to be up front, but we haven't seen him in a while. Didn't know what kind of speed that number 13 would have here tonight, but currently running up inside the top 5 in the Elizabeth Lorello racing machine. In 4th place in front of Bill Edwards. Channeling Elizabeth, her driving talent here, to put himself up inside the top 5. It's JD Laird leading, Shane Ewing 2nd, Tristan Maher 3rd, Lorello 4th, and Bill Edwards are your top 5 with 16 laps to go, 17 laps to go actually, coming to 16 to go. That time when Laird just crossed the line. Shane Ewing not losing too much time to your race leader, but at this point, you have to be cutting tenths out of that lead every single lap throughout the whole run, and with as fast as JD Laird has been, that's probably not going to happen. You really, if you want to win the race, you need a caution or something to happen to this 46. He has been just so fast and consistent and clean out front with about 15 laps to go. He just had a command over this race. But Shane Ewing has done a great job. Started in 11th place, now runs 2nd, so even if he doesn't pick up the win here tonight, and there's still a lot of time, it's been a great run for the number 32.
Very impressive drive out of the 32, but I don't expect anything less. I believe Shane is, I want to say he's won either a race here or whatnot in our past seasons. This is one of the tracks that he's very good at, very competitive at, and like we said, all it takes is the yellow. He's got himself in position here, track position wise. Now it's either save your stuff for a restart, but I imagine they would pit, so you don't need to save your stuff, but just keep chipping away. I don't think JD Laird's going to make that mistake, but somebody else could very well make a mistake out there at track and shuffle this field right back up.
Getting word from the people down on pit road, the 00 of Paul Bilson in pit road trying to get some damage. He had an incident with Jake Bustos about 13 laps ago. That 74 has taken it to the garage. He is out of the race. And Bilson sitting on pit road trying to get repairs, but something happened between those two quite a while ago. So that took Bustos out of contention, which he had shown some speed here tonight. Bilson also had some speed, was running up around the top 10, but those two drivers' nights seem to be done here.
Well, not a lot of attrition today, Mitchell, but certainly with the green flag runs, you wouldn't expect anybody to really be out of this race, and just a heartbreaker for Paul. It's nice to have him here at Total Nonstop Racing. I hope he will continue to run with us as the season goes on, starting next week at Kansas and obviously through the season. But hey, stuff like that happens. I mean, that's racing. We've all been that first car out. Maybe not you, Mitchell, but I've definitely been the first car out of a race, first or second car out of a race, and it does get frustrating when everybody else is out there running and making laps.
A good battle right now for the 4th place position. Quite a few cars involved in it. The number 13 of James Lorello has it, but he's got a string of cars back behind him. Bill Edwards, Robert Kenny, Alonso Chicano, and Floppy Tellier about 2 seconds behind him. So if these these 4 get battling, Tellier are going to be right there to try and take advantage of. This is the best battle we have on the field right now. As you see Bill Edwards run all the way up on the wall, trying to build up some momentum. Gets right to the bumper. Some front end damage on Bill Edwards. It's not going to let him stop. He tries to slide it up in front of Lorello. I don't think there was room, but Edwards made that work. And he has taken over the 4th place position for the moment, but Alonso Chicano tried to look up the inside lane. And they're going to be side by side down into turn number 1. That was an aggressive move from Bill, but with 11 laps to go, Garrett, you got to start making those kind of moves at this point.
Absolutely, and it cuts Bill a little bit of a break when he had his teammate there to lift. Other guys probably wouldn't have lifted or given them as much as James Lorello did, but those guys are good buddies and teammates, and I didn't expect him to get run over there as Alonso makes another move here for position. Robert Kenny also looking to take advantage of these S2R boys. And then Jason Schue, who's a lap down or whatever at this point, also creeping up into the picture on those fresh tires.
Yeah, Alonso Chicano, we talked about him. The pit strategy didn't really work out. Lost a lot of track position, but he's put himself back up into the 4th place position. So he has gained quite a bit of that back. So it's been a good run for Alonso Chicano. If he can keep it up through the closing laps of this race, we had 10 to go that last time by the line. Robert Kinney now getting around Bill Edwards for the 5th place position. You see Bill not wanting to give it up though, but seems to maybe burnt a little bit of it off. You see him struggling just a little bit to get the car straightened on exit that last time. And Jason Schue, like you said, 1 lap down right now. Not the first car a lap down either. If a caution were to come out right now, it would be the 51 of Matthew Rodriguez, picking up the Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award. As you see James Lorello now working up the inside of his teammate Bill Edwards. Jason Schue right there, and he's in a position not fighting to make a pass, but if these two get side by side, whichever car Schue decides to sit behind is going to get a little bit of an edge because of that draft. Not too much, but right now that doesn't look to be an issue as Bill got a nice jump back out in front of James.
Yeah, big gap now there between the 5 and the 13. Bill Edwards looks like he's claimed that position and he's going to set his sights on Robert Kenny ahead of him. But like you said it perfectly, Mitchell, that the number 3 of Jason Schue could have had an impact on that battle if he wanted to. I don't think Jason's that type of competitor, but I've actually had people message me if I was being lapped or whatever, hey, stick with me, just help me clear this guy and whatever, I'll owe you one. But I never get to the point where I could cash that in because I don't run up front. But still, something to keep an eye on. Mike and Vinny here having a good battle here towards the back half of the top 10.
Yeah, this is the battle for the 8th place position. Mike Floppy Tellier actually getting caught up toward James Lorello as well. Lorello starting to fall back just a little bit, but Vinny looking up the inside of Mike Tellier down the front straightaway. Used a little bit of that side draft on the corner exit now. Gets the nose in front into turn number 1, but a very shallow entry for Valvano in the 64. We'll see if he can get it turned through the corner. I think Mike's going to have a lot of momentum coming down this back straightaway. But Vinny able to close the door, and I'm surprised that 47 didn't have as big a run as I expected. Maybe he had to jump off the throttle because Valvano really shallowed out the entry into turn number 1, but he managed to make it stick. And Vincent Valvano moves himself up into the 8th place position. Gonna sets his eyes now on James Lorello for 7th.
Looks like that 13's falling back a little bit. 64 move in front. I'm going to see if Vinny can get up here alongside this 13 and make another pass as he continues his march towards the top 5 again, like we saw him earlier in the race.
You see him using almost that highest possible groove, leaving a little room up to the wall, but when these tires wear off at this point in the run, you're going to see more of that. And of course, we're about toward the end of this race, but it can be easier to get the car to turn. You can run the car a little wider, keep it in the throttle a little more, and that high line works itself in more and more as the run goes on. Also keeping our eye on the battle for the second place position. Out toward the front of the field, this is Shane Ewing in second, but he is getting run down by the 17 of Tristan Thuggy Maher. Maher had a very clean, consistent run, as has Shane Ewing. JD Laird 8 seconds now in the race lead. If you were curious how your race leader was faring, JD Laird, no contest here, coming to 4 laps to go in this one. But a good battle starting to brew for second place. 17 seems to have saved his tires up a little better, ran down Shane Ewing, and now well in the draft with 4 to go. That 17 is right there waiting to pounce.
Yeah, it looks like the 17 is going to be able to pull off this move and claim the second position here off Shane Ewing. Tremendous run by the 32. Just looks like the 17's got a little better tires or a little better tire conservation at this stage in the race, but nothing to be ashamed of if you're the 17 or the 32. It just seems like JD Laird has been the class of the field, and that 8-second lead or whatever is not going away.
That was a clean move the 17 of Tristan Maher made. Just scooted up to the outside of Shane Ewing in turn number 1 and 2 and just slipped by in the outside lane. That was about as clean a pass as you could possibly hope to get. And Tristan Maher moves himself up into second. Vincent Valvano also just got around the 13 of James Lorello, so moved Valvano now into 7th place. We've talked about him earlier tonight. A great run for Vincent Valvano. Started in 16th, now moves his way up into 7th place. That is plus 9 positions. That might make him, I do believe, the biggest mover of the race as well. Shane Ewing had him tied, but with Maher moving up to second, Ewing now gained 8, sitting in 3rd place since the initial drop of the green flag. So Vinny Valvano, this is exactly what you want race number 3 in the season. A good, clean, fast run moving up through the field. And now with 2 laps to go, the 46 of JD Laird, he just wants to get around to the white flag here, because once he takes 1 lap to go, there will be no cautions, and he will be able to cruise to a race win. Exiting turn 4, Flagman is waving the white flag. 1 lap to go here in the NNSCRA Paint Design 150.
Well-deserved, easy win for JD Laird at this point. He's had, like I said, we said earlier, a rough season. Got taken out of the lead and a chance at a couple wins, so this is peaceful. He can't wait to probably coast off of turns 3 and 4. He doesn't want to see anybody on the track. He's just going to bring this home and be ready to celebrate in victory lane. But what a nice, clean race we had tonight, Mitchell.
No cautions for cause here tonight, and through 3 and 4 for the final time, JD Laird in the number 46 JD Graphics Chevy will come to the checkered flag and take home his first win of the season. JD Laird, your winner of the NNSCRA Paint Design 150. Tristan Maher coming across the line to finish in second. Shane Ewing closes out the night in third. Those will be the 3 drivers we talked to in post-race interviews here tonight. A little bit of a battle coming to the line as well. Vincent Valvano held 7th. James Lorello in 8th. Mike Floppy Tellier tried to give him a run for it, but did not make the pass. He will finish in 9th, but it is JD Laird. You cannot say, Garrett, JD didn't deserve this win. Clearly the dominant car all night long, led the most laps of the race. Very, very good run for JD Laird, and a well-deserving of a win.
Yeah, this type of race suited JD Laird's consistent driving style. There wasn't yellows to bunch the field up. There wasn't any type of chaos, and the best or one of the most talented drivers that you would expect to be out front and lead and win races was able to get out front and just keep running those consistent laps and end up winning this race as we're watching them burn it down here on the front stretch of Valley Club Speedway.
Up JD Laird gonna do his celebration. And we are going to get some post-race interviews lined up for you. Going to talk with JD along with second place finisher Tristan Thuggy Maher and third place finisher Shane Ewing when we come back in just a minute here on the WRN post-race show. And welcome back to the World Racing Network. It is time for the post-race show here in the NNSCRA paint. 150, your race winner tonight, JD Laird, his first of the season in a dominant performance. But we are going to start the post-race show talking with tonight's third place finisher as driver of the number 32, Shane Ewing. And Shane, we watched you all night long. Very clean, very consistent run from you here. Started in 11th, finished third. You got to be happy with the run you had here tonight.
Had to shake a little bit of the rust off. I haven't been with these TNR boys in a bit, but yeah, I'm happy with that. I was a third place car, and that's where we finished. So yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, and we saw really everybody was chasing JD Laird through most of that race, and I know he's stretched himself out to quite a bit of the lead, but you had a nice battle going with Tristan there too in the closing laps. Saw him get around you though for the end. How important were tires? Because I think we saw a big difference between drivers here tonight in saving and not saving, and by the end of the run it seemed like there were a couple drivers who would always fall back and a couple who would always be running toward the front. How important were tires from your perspective down there behind the wheel?
Oh, they're very important. There at the end, Thuggy passed me on right before we pitted, and he was better on the tires on the first set. I had to use them up more coming back from 11th. The first run, the second I tried to be a little bit better on them, but I couldn't keep it off the right front. And to be good on your tires, you got to keep it on the right rear, and that's something I've got to get better at. And JD must have been really good at it because he was fast on the short run, and he was good on the long run. Um, Tristan lost a little bit on the front end of the run, but more than made up for it at the end of the run. So I don't think anybody had anything for JD. Uh, Tristan did a good job. Was probably second place car, and I finished third. So it kind of worked like it was supposed to. Although it was hairy there that first run. There were some close calls.
Yeah, and we went, other than the stage caution too, we went all green flag here tonight. So definitely an endurance run for you here tonight. How do you like Auto Club Speedway? Because people really, this track is one where if you like it, I feel like drivers tend to run well here. Do you think that's kind of the case being out there yourself and talking with other drivers?
Yeah, I think um, most drivers who love driving uh, like California because you got choices several different grooves. If the setup was a little bit looser, if it wasn't as tight as it was, it would make even better racing, where you're really driving the car with the throttle. This is just a little too snug to do that, but it's my favorite track anywhere we run. So anytime anytime they're here, I'm going to do my best to try and get here because it's a fun track with a great group of guys, and this is it here.
Certainly, and a great performance for you here tonight. Next week, the Total Nonstop Racing Grand National Series, sponsored by Schue Lawn Service, is headed for the 1.5-mile racetrack of Phoenix. Do you think we'll see you next week at Phoenix? And if so, what do you expect from yourself going into that race?
Phoenix is not one of my best tracks.
Kansas. We're at Kansas this
Oh,
for.
Kansas. Excuse me.
Oh, I
I
like
did that
Kansas.
last
Good.
week, too.
Okay, yeah, Kansas is much better track for me. I do like Kansas, so yeah, I'm going to do my best to be there next week. It's fun racing with these guys. Hopefully, my schedule's freed up more now, where I can do a little bit more of it because I love doing it.
I apologize for saying the wrong track. I did that last week too, and Garrett had to call me out for it. I said Atlanta was Daytona, but next week is Phoenix. All right,
No, it's
Kansas,
not.
Kansas.
Shane, we want you here next week, and he keeps telling you to go the wrong track, and you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, me and Michael Waltrip are going to be walking around Phoenix together.
Oh, well, anyways, thank you for talking with me. We are in Kansas next week. Want to see you there. Before I let you go, though, I'll give you a chance to give any shout outs to people or sponsors who might be watching here on WRN.
Yeah, I was got to shout out my buddies at Disney Motorsports, although none of them are with me in this league currently, but they're my boys. I always got to shout them out. My mom, my wife, my daughters, Haley and Ashley. Appreciate you guys letting me have the time to do this, and you guys at TNR. Just happy to be here, and I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you for having me.
Certainly looking forward to next week. Thanks for stopping by and chatting with us. And again, congratulations on a strong third place run here tonight.
Thanks, man. I'll see you in Phoenix.
That
That's funny.
was very funny. You got to call me out. Keep me on my game here. It's not a broadcast without a mistake. And that was third place Shane Ewing. Time now for Garrett Gleason to catch up with tonight's second place finisher Tristan Maher.
All right, Dougie, you and that new paint scheme out there on track look good here at Auto Club. Didn't seem to have much for that JD Laird 46 machine. How was your night, and how'd the track drive out there?
It was a fun race. I had a point of emphasis on trying to save my tires, and I just don't think that anybody had anything for JD. I mean, come on, he won by like 8.5 or 9 seconds or whatever it was. That dude's got some skills, that's for sure.
Yeah, certainly a lot of the skills as far as the 46 goes, but you're not too shabby yourself. You've been putting some consistent runs down this season, and you're certainly not that guy that struggles to win races anymore. But just obviously, what you need to be JD, you just need a miracle. But do you think this type of race with no yellows just suited him too much? And if you caught the yellow at the right time, things might have been different. You might have had something for him out there.
It's possible. I mean, I think yellows always mix it up. No matter what stage of the race it is, it's going to benefit some people and put other people at a disadvantage. And you're never really going to know like which way it turned. As far as me specifically, I pit at the same time as JD, not intentionally. I was like, I'm going to pit this lap, and I looked a little bit ahead of me, and he was also going in the pits. So um, as far as me specifically, I think if a caution came out, me and him would have probably been on the same strategy no matter what. So he was definitely tough to beat.
Well, strong second place run for you. Good points day for one of our championship contenders. Headed next week to Kansas for our next race. So what do you think about Kansas? Do you like that track? Do you think it suits your style? Maybe chance at victory lane next week?
I'm gonna try for sure. Kansas isn't really one of my favorite tracks, but I'm gonna give it my all.
Well, thanks. That really narrows down your strategy for next week, Dougie. But before I let you go, you had that beautiful new paint scheme, which we see here on WRN. Just give you time to shout out your sponsors and if you maybe bought somebody as a fan this week.
I'm too poor to buy any fans. I don't know. I'd like to thank Cameron Caldwell, owner of Radius Racing, for the new paint scheme. Schue Lawn Service for sponsoring the series, and the NNSCRA paint designs for sponsoring the race specifically. And then you guys obviously up here in the booth for broadcasting the race. I can't wait to go back and watch my pass on Shane Ewing.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome pass, Dougie, and certainly one of the highlights of the race. So congratulations on your second place run, and we'll see you at Kansas next week. Just don't get on whatever plane Mitchell is getting on to go wherever he is going.
Copy that. Stay away from me, Mitchell.
And speaking of Mitchell, I believe he has worked his way down to Victory Lane, which I'm sure is not a place that JD Laird needed directions to get to.
Now, JD Laird, winner of the NASCAR Paint Design 150 here tonight. And JD, so fast again this week. Dominated last week too, but that one didn't work out. But tonight, you get the redemption and you pick up your first win of the season. That's got to feel good.
It feels even sweeter that it's my house. I don't want to sound cocky with it, but this is my home track. I'm gonna shed a tear when this place gets bulldozed into a really not appealing short track. But this was any league that I compete in. Auto Club is circled on the schedule if it's there, because I want to perform good in my home. So it was nice to show up late. Showed up with about a half-hour practice, destroyed qualifying, and just did my job. I don't get paid to go around and around in circles. That's what I like to do, and it's sadly on a computer. So I just clicked the drive button, just ran around in circles for 75 laps.
Well, it was 75, very clean and steady laps for you. You're talking about your home track. You have a lot of experience here, probably then at Auto Club, that helps you out here coming into this race.
A little bit too much. But yes, I mean, like I said, like this track with Auto Clubs on the schedule, it's always circled that I need to perform here. And I when officials go here, I run here a lot. When leagues go here, I don't test, but I put a lot of effort into it as far as wanting to perform. So for all the pixels that are on the car, some don't pay, some pay little, some I've known for years, but all their support, like it's for those little tiny pixels that are on the car.
Yeah, and you have another, like I said, a very good run tonight. It's been a great start to the season for you. Really, what we expect. You're always fast here, but looking ahead to next week at Kansas Speedway, how do you feel about that? Going away from your home track in California, moving to Kansas, how do you feel about the 1.5 miles?
Well, I believe the last time TNR ran the Xfinity cars there, I believe I won. But I don't know. I don't know if I can commit to the rest of the season. The Coke series is starting to ramp up, and I got my hands tied on a lot of things. So I don't like today. I didn't know if I was even going to make because I had 2 beatings today, which I think are going to become regular on Mondays, plus the A Opens that would be going off about this time. So it's a part-time basis. If I can make it, cool. If I don't, it sucks for me because I wouldn't mind driving my desk. But I got to go where the money's at, and the money's with all my cute little graphics that I do for the Coke series, which I hope everybody tunes into in a couple of weeks for the Clash on Tuesdays. But yeah, I'd love to run here full time, and it seems like it always works. I choose part time, I start winning. I go full time, nothing goes right. So maybe I should just say I'm running part time, and if I run the whole season, cool. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see if I can make it next week.
We're very glad you always put on a show for us when you're here, and hopefully we see more of you this season. I know it's tough to balance Coke Series and TNR Grand National Series, you know. balance him on a scale. But yeah, we wish you good luck in that endeavor as always. And before I let you go, I'll give you a chance to shout out all the pixels on the screen and anyone else who might be watching you here tonight.
Well, first and foremost, I got to give a shout out to everybody at TNR and you guys for putting on the broadcasts. Like, I know it's been a little bit awkward the past couple of weeks with everything that happened last week, but even though it gets a little hectic, the appreciation of the effort is still there. All the pixels on the car, Valvoline, myself, Fuse lenses. If you ever need replacement lenses for your glasses, there you go. You can go to fuselenses.com and go there. Anderson Surfboards, Aquatech Glassing, Langford Farm, Spirited by Brad, Simpson Race Products, Jake Swanson Shock Technology. Everybody out there that's watching this race, this league needs and deserves all the viewers that it gets. So keep tuning in every Monday. And who knows? We might see you next week.
Yeah, we're certainly hoping to see you next week. But for tonight, JD, congratulations on a great run and a great win. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
That was tonight's race winner, JD Laird. And Garrett, I told him there in his interview, but he was fast last week, but wasn't able to close the deal tonight. However, gets it done at Auto Club, his home track, and that makes it even sweeter. Someone who's never won at my home track, it has to feel really good to get that win.
Absolutely, and especially after the first two races of this year where he came so close and had the speed and just didn't do it, and with his Coke schedule, that sounds bad. His Coke Series schedule coming out here, it could be his last race of the season, and I'm hoping not, but you want to get that win, and at least he has that win now, especially at his home track, which is really special. And he beat some very good drivers at this racetrack that on a normal day, maybe in a race with more yellows and some bunching up, would have had a shot at him. But tonight, to be honest, Mitchell, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, no, JD Laird, the class of the field, thought for a little bit Alonso Chicano might have it for him, but Laird just had the long run speed. No one could really contest here tonight. Ed, we will take a look now at your final race results from the NNSCRA Paint Design 150 at Auto Club Speedway. It was JD Laird, like we've been saying, picking up tonight's race win. Tristan Maher finishes in second. Shane Ewing was third. Then in fourth place was Alonso Chicano. In fifth, Robert Kinney. Then sixth place was Bill Edwards. Seventh, Vincent Valvano. Eighth place, James Lorello. Ninth was Mike Floppy Tellier. And David Durand rounded out your top 10. Then in 11th place was the tabletop trio machine of Bob Giaquinto. In 12th was Steven Doziak. 13th, your pole sitter, Philip Scott. Not the run Philip was hoping for here tonight. 13th for him. 14th place was Robert Tripp. 15th, Jamar Dumas. 16th, Jason Schue. In 17th place was Matthew Rodriguez. And then other drivers not finishing tonight's race. In 18th was Paul Bilson. 19th, Jake Bustos. 20th was Jason Gracias. And that rounds out all the drivers who started in tonight's NNSCRA Paint Designs 150. And again, we want to give a huge shout out to tonight's race sponsor, NNSCRA Paint Designs. Their link is down in the video description. Go give them some love. And thank you to Matthew Rodriguez for helping get them on board as the sponsor of tonight's race. And Garrett, it was a great one here tonight at Auto Club. Like I've said, didn't mean to cut you off there, but do you have any final thoughts here tonight before we sign off?
No, Mitchell, you do a great job tidying things up. I just wanted to say, again, like you said, thank you to Matthew Rodriguez, and thank you for everyone for being here. This was a nice, solid, very talented field, and I hope this momentum continues next week into Kansas so we can put on another good show here for our viewers on WRN and our sponsor, Schue Lawn Service.
Yep, definitely looking forward to Kansas next Monday night. That track puts on a show. iRacing, when they did the updates that kind of made it more of a multi-groove racetrack, that place has been an absolute blast to watch racing. So you will not want to miss that next Monday night. Before we go off the air, we got to thank all the sponsors who helped make Monday Night Racing possible on the World Racing Network. Of course, Schue Lawn Service, the title sponsor of the TNR Grand National Series. Also, Stay Tuned Sports and Tabletop Trio, the Lucky Dog sponsor. Only gave away one of those Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog awards here tonight because we ran caution free other than the stage. There's still a lot of love to them. And again, NNSCRA Designs for sponsoring tonight's race. And for all of us at the World Racing Network, myself, Mitchell Adams, my broadcast partner, Garrett Gleason, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We look forward to seeing you next Monday at Kansas. And until then, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you next time.